You know what time it is? Time for the facts. Here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. There are more countries in the list of FIFA members than there are in the United Nations. There are currently 212 FIFA members, while the members of the countries in the United Nations sits at only 193. In 2007, Sena and Adnan Kleric, a couple in a loveless marriage in Zenica, Bosnia, were individually looking for someone other than their spouse online. Both found other users that they felt could be their soulmates, but when they went to meet in person, they discovered they had set themselves up with each other. Despite the unlikely coincidence and the love that they shared online, each accused the other of cheating, and the couple ultimately got divorced. If your eyes were as good as the wide field and planetary camera on the Hubble Space Telescope, you would have the ability to read the fine print on a standard newspaper that was over 1.6 kilometers away from you. During the French Revolution of 1830, Louis Antoine became King of France when his father, King Charles X, abdicated. However, soon after, Antoine renounced the throne as well, having been king for literally less than 20 minutes. Only 10 people have been named honorary Harlem Globetrotters, and that list includes 2 popes, Pope John Paul II and Pope Francis. Oh yes, time to get those holy baskets. In 1883, mongooses were set loose in sugarcane fields in Hawaii in an attempt to control the growing rat populations. However, since rats are nocturnal and mongooses are diurnal, the new animals failed to make an impact. Farmers quickly found they had issues with large populations of both animals, while the native bird populations plummeted. Babies born in the Achi tribe in Paraguay have multiple fathers, which are made up of all the males who had intercourse with the baby's mother during pregnancy. Once born, the infant is looked after by all of these men who help feed and raise it. Like many countries, India has an annual holiday celebrating children, but unlike other countries, their Children's Day is on November 14th. Exactly 9 months after Valentine's Day. You know what that means, you know what I'm saying? When they got busy. For the brief appearance as a drugged out criminal in the 1986 comedy Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Charlie Sheen stayed awake for 48 hours prior to filming so that it would seem authentic. Right, that's how Charlie Sheen made it authentic, just by staying up. Yeah. In the summer of 1962, American scientists detonated a hydrogen bomb that was 100 times more powerful than the one that was dropped on Hiroshima, just outside the Earth's atmosphere, just to see what would happen. The act or practice of eating the flesh or meat of a horse is called hippophagy. Just 8 months after purchasing Dominic's, a pizza restaurant, with his brother Tom for $500, James Monaghan traded his share to Tom for a used Volkswagen Beetle. 38 years later, Tom sold 93% of what is now known as Domino's Pizza for $1 billion. That hurts. On August 13th, 1941, Henry Ford unveiled his new car at the Dearborn Days Community Festival in Dearborn, Michigan. Dubbed the soybean car, the vehicle was only 2/3 the weight of the average steel car and was made in part out of soybeans. The longest hole of golf ever played was done so in 2017 by 28-year-old Adam Rolston and his caddy/friend, 42-year-old Ron Rutland. Teeing off on June 29th at the most western point of Mongolia, the pair traveled through the country for 2,011 kilometers, hitting a golf ball as they went. It took them 82 days to reach their destination, Ulaanbaatar, the nation's capital city, to complete the course. It was estimated to be a par 14,000, but Rolston shot a 20,093. The 1976 film Rocky was filmed in just 28 days with star Sylvester Stallone and the film's small crew that were driving around the city of Philadelphia in a van, as well as hopping out whenever director John Avildsen saw a colorful location. For centuries, many Buddhist monks practiced self-mummification, in which they consumed only water, nuts, fruits, and seeds collected from nearby forests, as well as mountains, and then sealed themselves in a small tomb with a breathing tube and a bell. If the monk failed to ring the bell one day, they would be considered dead. The tube was taken out of the tomb and was sealed for 1,000 days, leaving to a mummified body. On February 19, 1916, 28-year-old Marshall Mabey was working on a new subway line in Brooklyn, New York, when a buildup of air pressure shot him as well as two co-workers out of the tunnel, up through the mud and water of the East River and over 7.5 meters into the air. Though the other men died, Mabey miraculously suffered no serious injury. Although most of the population speaks Spanish, as of 2009, the Constitution of the country of Bolivia recognizes 37 official languages. In 1924, while imprisoned at Landsberg Fortress in Bavaria, Germany, after a failed attempt to seize power in Munich, Adolf Hitler wrote a letter to Jacob Furlan, the owner of a Mercedes-Benz dealership. In the letter, Hitler begged for a loan so that he could buy a limousine that he had his heart set on, as the future dictator was, at the time, very broke. In South Carolina in the United States, the maximum penalty for first-time domestic abuse is 30 days in jail, while the maximum sentence for the abuse of a dog is 5 years. On November 3, 1986, a 12-member jury was on their way to a courtroom to hear arguments in a lawsuit filed against Otis, the elevator company, when the elevator that they were in broke down and got stuck. The elevator was an Otis elevator. Well, that can't help your case. In March of 2016, Barack Obama became the first president in 88 years to officially visit the country of Cuba. The last president to do this was Calvin Coolidge in 1928. Frito-Lay's Flaming Hot Cheetos product was invented by a man named Richard Montanez, who was working at one of the company's factories as a janitor when he came up with the idea. Today, that man is an executive vice president with PepsiCo. First introduced in Green Lantern Volume 2, number 188 in 1986, DKRTZYRRR is a biosentient mathematical equation that's a genuine member of a superhero group, the Green Lanterns. Therville, a town in Normandy, is the only village in all of France to not lose a single resident to the last 5 wars that the nation has been involved in, including World War I and II. Every soldier who took part in them came home. George Washington was the first and only United States president to receive 100% of electoral votes. That sounds sketch. As an April Fool's prank in 2014, National Public Radio posted a link on their Facebook page accusing Americans of not reading things anymore. The post quickly got a slew of comments from outraged people, but those who actually did read the content in the link were congratulated. NPR was proving that a huge number of people commented without ever reading, even when the topic was reading. There's a company in Essex, England that allows people to hire actors to attend their own funerals so that they appear to have been more popular than they actually were. Known as Rent-A-Mourner, actors will even attend wakes and tell stories about the deceased as if they really knew them. In 1994, a lawsuit was filed against Apple over their new codename for the Power Macintosh 7100. It was internally called Carl Sagan after the famous astronomer, but after learning of the lawsuit, Apple changed the codename to BHA, which stood for Butthead Astronomer. During the 44th Annual Academy Awards in 1972, comedian Charlie Chaplin received an honorary Oscar for his achievements in film. His appearance at the ceremony marked the first time that Chaplin had been in the United States in 20 years since being labeled a communist, and he was greeted as he made his way on stage with a 12-minute standing ovation from the audience of his fellow filmmakers. It still stands, no pun intended, as the longest in Oscar history. As of 2014, the country with the slowest internet connections in the Southeast Asian region is the Philippines, with an average speed of just 3.54 megabits per second. That, while nearby Singapore has the second fastest, with around 65 megabits per second. Iquitos, the capital of the Maynes province and Loreto region, is the 6th most populated city in Peru. Despite having a population of over 470,000, Iquitos can only be accessed by the river or air. It is the largest city on the planet that cannot be reached by road. Bonobos, endangered great apes that happen to be the closest extant relatives to human beings, are naturally bisexual and don't seem to discriminate based on age or gender when participating in sexual activity. In Denmark, it's actually legal to burn or otherwise desecrate the national flag, called the Dannebrog, but it's actually illegal to burn or desecrate those from foreign countries, the United Nations, or the Council of Europe, because doing so would be viewed as a threat. Breatharians are a group of people who believe that human life can be sustained without food or even water, but simply by prana. Prana is also known as life force, which is in the air and light around them. Despite many breatharians claiming to go extended periods of time without other nourishment, others have lost their lives trying to follow their example. Data collected in 2013 by the Venezuelan Prison Observatory revealed that nearly 48,000 people were incarcerated in the country's jails, which were built to house a maximum of only around 16,500. That's nearly 3 times the number that prisons can safely hold. On March 28, 2013, inmates of a Venezuelan prison on Margarita Island opened a nightclub inside the prison itself. Friends and family of those incarcerated attended the opening, which was complete with professional lights, sound systems, and even strippers. During photosynthesis, the process which converts sunlight into energy, plants emit a light called fluorescence. It's invisible to the human eye but can be picked up by satellites in the Earth's orbit. Most of the dinosaurs that appear in Steven Spielberg's 1993 blockbuster Jurassic Park were animals that lived in Earth's Cretaceous period, not the Jurassic as the title suggests. Velociraptors were not the slippery-skinned lizards depicted in Jurassic Park. Quill knobs that were discovered on several fossil skeletons have revealed that these animals were definitely feathered. In 1925, a skilled con man named Victor Lustig successfully sold the Eiffel Tower to a scrap metal purchaser, accepting a large cash bribe while impersonating a corrupt member of the French government. When the buyer went to claim the Paris landmark, he'd found that he'd been scammed and Lustig had fled to Austria. Studies conducted in 2006 revealed that the Amazon River, which flows from west to east today, used to flow the opposite way in prehistoric times, and for a very brief period actually flowed in both directions. Despite having nuclear bombs dropped on them, the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki are no longer radioactive because the explosions occurred high up in the air, meaning that the radioactive fireball did not touch the ground and thus reduce the amount of fallout created. There are somewhere around 25,000 more genes in a dry bowl of cornflakes than in a human being's entire body. Meanwhile, there are actually only 1,700 more genes in a human being than in the body of an earthworm. Scatomancy is a practice that's been around for thousands of years, in which a person's fortune is told through the examination of that person's poop. The fortune tellers are called scatomancers. The longest civil war in Earth's history is actually still being waged. Dubbed the Karen Conflict, the war began in 1949 in Karen State, Burma, which is now Karen State, Myanmar, and continues today with Karen nationalists fighting the armed forces of Myanmar for independence. In the summer of 2006, the Walt Disney Company quietly ended their cross-promotion arrangement with McDonald's in an effort to distance themselves from the fast food giant's alleged contributions to the childhood obesity epidemic that was sweeping America. Named after the demigod, the Hercules beetle, native to Central and South America, can lift over 100 times its own body weight. The longest poem ever written is the Mahabharata, a text that is used to teach the principles of Hinduism. It contains around 1.8 million words in 74,000 verses. If you tried to continuously recite it without breaks, it would take 2 weeks to complete the poem.